I think the optimal way to live is living off of your dividends. I think there's a chance for more happiness. You could have a really good day. You go for a run, eat a really clean lunch and dinner, work on something really hard, and at the end of the day you have this residual feeling of contentment. It's not like this intense joy, intense pleasure.
Welcome to the Willpower Podcast.
All right, y'all, let's do it. As usual, I got nothing to talk about. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to come up with something. So we'll see where that lands. I wrote about this a few weeks ago. The unconscious mind, this kind of uncanny ability that the unconscious mind has to come up with stuff. And what I think about it is that there are a lot of things as the perceived running my mind, my body. Like, I feel like I'm at the seat of control, right? Yet, if you actually take a look into consciousness, if I'm just like fully aware of what's going on, I recognize I'm not really in control of any of this. It's all just happening. Thoughts are coming up. My body does things. I move my hand. I walk. I do whatever. It just kind of happens. And the grand illusion of things is that I'm the one actually controlling it. So where this ties into what I was saying, because this sounds like it's kind of like fucking out of the blue. This ties back into what I was first saying about not knowing what I'm going to talk about. My subjective mind. I am not actually in control of it. And a lot of the things that happen are coming from my unconscious. They just pop up. And so if I am willing to just step back, let it happen, I find myself much more able to just let it flow, let it come out. I think this is what, like the Stephen Pressfield muse that he talks about in The Art of War. Sorry, The War of Art. He talks about the war. In The War of Art, he talks about this muse idea. And I think really what the muse is, when you say like, oh, I'm going to let the muse flow through me and work through me, whatever. Really what you're doing is you're opening up your unconscious. You're letting it like out. You're just saying, okay, I'm not going to filter this. I'm not going to try and like pretend I'm in control when I'm not. It's accepting what is. And that's where creativity is at its best, is when it just happens. It just comes straight from the source. And by the source, I mean the subconscious. So anyways, it's cool to see what happens when you step aside. When I wrote about this, like I mentioned, I talked about this IFS, internal family systems, which is like a therapy modality involving basically conceiving the mind as a bunch of distinct parts that are kind of created at different points in your life. The validity of it or not, it seems to work. Like, it's effective, it appears to be. Whether or not it's exactly true, it doesn't really matter, because it's really just a way of thinking of the mind and the psyche, which is a complete and utter chaotic place. There isn't really any rhyme or reason, but there are ways to kind of imagine that it is organized. And in this IFS thing, there's a lot of instruction to ask a question. And so this was what I wrote about, was this experience I had where I had been prompted in this way before to ask a question of a part. You know, maybe it's my 7-year-old part that is scared of something. You say, okay, what are you scared of? And every time I had been prompted that before, I tried to like come up with, okay, what's he scared of? What would he be scared? And it was like my, the feeling, the locus, it was the feeling of me coming up with, oh, what would he say? And then this one time, it just kind of shut off my mind. By the way, this was prompted by Mike Strand, who was on the podcast. Shout out Mike Strand, awesome psychologist, leader of a men's group here in Austin. And what he kind of led me into in this one instance was actually just dropping this like cognitive side, which was like trying to decide what would happen, or dropping this like feeling of control, letting it go. And so when I did that, I just left my mind quiet and I asked the question, what are you scared of? And out of that came, I'm scared of death, scared of dying. That was literally what came. That was like the next thought that came out of my mind. It wasn't conscious. Like I didn't try to think that. It was there. And so that's like very interesting, that realizing that the subconscious is the one that is shooting thoughts into my periphery. Every single thought I've ever had has come out of there. I've never like constructed a thought. I might feel like I have. I might feel like, oh, I'm thinking this. I'm making up this thought. It's really just coming from somewhere deeper. And I think the more that I accept it and the more that I let it be that way, the easier life is. The easier it is to just be living and not at odds with the way things are, not fighting against how things are. And so with this episode, it took me 6 minutes to get here, but I'm here. The point being, I don't really need a plan. I don't need to know exactly what's going to happen. I don't need full control. I can know that my subconscious is going to come up with something. As long as I leave it open, we'll get somewhere. That's an interesting thing I've been playing with, is leaving the mind open and just letting come what might come. Not trying to make it something that it's not. If you're watching, you might see I have a different background. That's because I moved, and yeah, pretty pumped. I have been looking to move for a while, and I finally made it happen. I do the whole house hacking thing. So I bought a house and I was renting out rooms to roommates. And the plan when I bought the house was like, okay, we're going to fully rent it out. Like every single room will be rented at the end of the year, and then I'll do it again. And what I quickly realized was like, doing it again, maybe not. It's a big responsibility to own a house and to just know that like, okay, if I fuck up, I'm going to lose a lot of money. And so it's not that it's a bad idea to keep doing it, but if I were to continue doing it, it would become like a part-time job. And then at some point, if I really kept doing it, where I kept buying houses or kept doing that type of thing, it would become a full-time job. So that's where I was like, there are points where I was thinking about doing it again. But then overall, I decided choose to spend my energy elsewhere. Yeah, it feels nice to be out. Not that I didn't enjoy living there, but because that was the plan all along, and it feels good to have followed through on that plan and to be at where I'm at now, which is owning a house but not being tied to it, knowing that it pays itself and it still requires some work of me. It's not like I can fully just detach, but financially, it takes care of itself. So that feels nice. Let's see what else. But yeah, so I got some big evolution in the world of grooves and what's coming. I am going to be starting a workout group here in Austin, Texas, and it's going to be grooves focused. Like, fucking working out is one of the best habits you can have as a human being. Exercising your body is super, super important, especially in today's world where we don't really need to exercise. There's no like biological imperative on a day-to-day basis that is like, oh, you have to exercise. It's not like when you used to have to gather food or hunt or run away from predators. Like, you can get by without doing anything. You can get in the car, push your foot on the pedal, walk 5 feet to the elevator. Like, you don't need any exercise. So that's just to say the workout is like, the reason I'm tying it to grooves is because working out is I believe one of the most important habits that anyone can have. And so I want to share that, and I want to share the app as well through that workout and through that, and start building a community around grooves. We already have a school group, SKOOL. We'll see. Maybe I'll continue to use that and try to grow it locally as well. The overall effort is, though, to build a local community around grooves and to start there. And then from there, building into a more global brand. I think I have fallen into the trap, or not the trap, because it's not necessarily a trap, but this idea that I should try and scale it everywhere. And where that leaves me is very like kind of spread out and feeling a little overwhelmed and uncertain about where to go. And so what I think this local first idea is, it makes it really real. It's like I get to see the real people who are using the app. And I also know that the people using the app will be around other people using the app because we're all in Austin to start. I also thought about like companies and apps that have done this in the past. Usually it happens because they have to. So something like Uber or DoorDash, or there are a few others that I'm blanking on, Sweat Pals, like they have to be localized to start until a city gains enough of a user base or traction that it can, it can grow other places. But they're geographical based services. And my thought is that maybe Grooves can be that same way, or should be that same way. Maybe we should think of it as more of an in-person thing, or a community-based thing, even if it's an app that can be used in isolation. That doesn't mean that it has to. And maybe starting local is the way to go. Anyways, we'll see on that. We're just going to, steady the course, continue building. The app itself is getting really dope. We got some really cool stuff coming out on there, product-wise. It's really just marketing. That's the hard. It's the thing that we're trying to figure out and trying to pick a path and actually follow the path rather than getting sidetracked too much. And so that is to say, it might sound like I'm just getting sidetracked, but hopefully not. Hopefully this is the thing that I stick to, is the local one. And also using this podcast more. I would love to start having more guests on. I know I've talked about this on past episodes, but I would love to get back into the habit of having guests on every week, or at least most weeks, rather than just recording a solo episode, because it's almost Wednesday and I got to get it in. Having guests would be really cool to do again. And especially like pointed guests, like guests who fit the theme of willpower, habits, lifestyle engineering, living a good life, what that means. All those things that we're trying to answer with the podcast and with the app, putting that all into this podcast, like putting that into the guests, finding guests that answer those questions, or that are at least willing to talk about. So that's great. I talked last week about avoiding talking too much about plans and like dopamine hits around like projecting into the future too much. And I still feel that way. I think it's very important. And so I've been more careful this week. There are a lot of times where I think about something and I'm like, oh, I should tell this person about this cool thing I'm doing and how it's going to help me. And I've held my tongue. And I've just been like, okay, if I just tell them about it, there's a less likely chance I'm going to follow through with it. And so suddenly it's not so enticing to just share this thing that I'm doing and this thing that I want to be doing. And instead, it's just my thing. It's just the thing I'm doing. It's not a secret, but it's also not something I need to shout out into the ether. Moving's obviously stressful. It's like a whole day project. And I'm very happy with where I am now. It's, probably like one of the best places I could have ended up. And yeah, it's interesting being one fun fact about me. I'm living alone at the moment for the next few months. I have never lived alone. I moved out roundabout when I went to college. I basically moved out of my parents' house. I never lived at home after that point. And I had roommates, and then I had roommates again and again. And then when I bought my house, I lived alone for like 2 months in the house before I found my first roommate there. And then here I am. And so I'm not really living alone, but for at least a few months I will. And so it's always weird to me to be living in a place where I'm the only person there, because it's just not. I have never been in this kind of living situation, at least not beyond the 2 months that I was at my house for. So it's been fun. It's kind of exciting to have complete space to myself. It's just me and Reba holding it down. And yeah, she's been getting to explore the apartment complex, the dog park, meeting new dogs. We're right by a trail, and so we get to go walk down there and walk through the woods, and it's all really great, really, really good stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think about what else in the realm of. Well, I can talk about this. I have been feeling, so I've been trying to eat healthy and just eat like a clean diet, basically. And my body is like fucking fighting me on it. It's like really fighting to where I have like really low energy late in the day, even though I feel like I'm eating plenty and it's obviously really healthy, but my body is not used to these kinds of like fuels. It's more used to like maybe like white rice and like, it's not like sugar. It's not like I normally eat sugar. This past week I had way more sugar than I ever do. But I do feel like my body is more used to eating like, yeah, white rice, maybe oatmeal, like pizza once a week. It's more used to that kind of like fuel. Fruit, like apples, like high sugar fruits, apples, grapes. And so I've been off of those things. And yeah, I feel like I've been hitting energy slumps for sure late in the day. And it's very interesting. It's very definitely weird to be like eating really healthy, but then still feel off. Cause I know that my body hasn't adapted yet. It hasn't like changed to be like, oh, this is the way we eat now. And it's almost like going on withdrawals of like, eating too much processed food and then going off of it. And my body is just like getting used to the fact that like, oh, this is how we eat now. And so I'm in the weird buffer period before I start to actually feel really good. And I'm excited for that. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. Okay. I have a really cool idea that I'm going to talk about relating to this. So this idea is that basically there are actions we can take on a brain chemistry level, dopamine, serotonin, yada, yada, yada. There are actions we can take that are either deposits, withdrawals, or dividends. And dividends are kind of like a withdrawal, but they're like a free withdrawal. So this conception is basically as follows. When you do something that immediately amounts in a reward without work put in to receive the reward, that is just a strict withdrawal. Doing something that is difficult, that ends up with more in the tank, so it's not like you're being rewarded, you're giving something for, putting it in the bank. Later you'll be rewarded. So let's say you go for a run. It's like it's gonna be hard. It's like this is work. This is effort. It's not like you're doing it because it's so fun and so exciting. That's a deposit. And the dividends are the small rewards that you receive when you have high amounts of deposits in your account. And your account being your overall neural chemistry. So that's the framework. Now, my reason for bringing this up is that I think the optimal way to live on a happiness perspective is living off of your dividends, if that makes sense, rather than living off of or being motivated by your dividends. Let's say it that way. I think there's a chance for more happiness if you are living off of your dividends rather than off of withdrawals. So let's say a clear withdrawal would be like eating a high sugar dessert, like a highly processed sugary dessert. That is a withdrawal. It's something that like feels good in the moment. You're rewarding yourself. You're hitting all those pleasure centers, but you're taking it out. Like it's not helping you long term. You're using up all of those dopamine, serotonin, whatever. Those are gone. You're using them up. You're withdrawing them. At the same time, you could have a really good day. You go for a run. You eat a really clean lunch and dinner. You work on something really hard. And at the end of the day, you have this residual feeling of just like contentment. It's not like this like intense joy, intense pleasure, but it's just this like lingering kind of residual. That is the dividend. That's the dividend paying itself off. Because you made those deposits throughout the day, you're just getting like this little dividend paying you back, but it's not taking away from anything. So when you eat the dessert, you're taking something out of your account. You're taking this happiness out. You're going to feel worse after. Just like on an overall scale, you're going to be slightly less happy after you eat that dessert than before. If you were to like do the entire area under the curve of your overall happiness. With dividends, it doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like you can just kind of enjoy that residual effect of, I made all these deposits today, or I made all these deposits over the past X number of days. And now I can just feel kind of good. Like I just have this like regular amount of serotonin and dopamine that's just like keeping me moving, keeping me feeling good, making me feel happy. That is, I think, the optimal way to live. Because then you're not fucking with your chemistry where you're like, you have to do, like you do a run, but then you eat something good after to reward yourself. You're constantly on this up and down thing. This is just like a constant up with just the dividends coming and paying you off the entire way. And once you get to a certain point, you just feel good. Like it's like when you have a shit ton of money in a bank account that's paying 3% interest, you are going to feel like you're going to have plenty of money because you've built up enough of that, because you've built up enough principal. Like that amount that you put in is so much that even 3% on it is great. It's the same thing here. You can just keep stockpiling on deposit after deposit, continue doing healthy things for yourself, healthy things for your brain, for your body. After enough time, you have stockpiled so much goodwill in your body, so much principle that those dividends just make you feel good. And those are like those healthy people that you see who just kind of live normal lives, that they're just doing healthy things. They're not like taking from themselves all the time. And yeah, I've gone through phases of being on each side of this. And so I know that I'm not perfect, and it's not saying that I live this way all the time, but I definitely have seen that side of it. And yeah, that's the idea. And so that's something with this Grooves app that I'm trying to think about, is like building up all those little habits that are just paying those dividends day after day. And the problem is they don't pay off right away. They don't. It takes more time. It's like if you had $10,000, you could pull out $5,000 and go buy something really cool. Or you could leave it in the bank and get paid off every year on that $10,000. And you could add that money in and get paid off on that. This is a thing that takes more time. You could take the initial deposit, again, like say you go for a run, you're feeling good, and you're like, boom, I'm going to do whatever, hit the vape. I'm going to drink tonight because I went for a run today. I'm going to eat something shitty. I'm going to scroll on my phone. Whatever it is, I'm going to like make a deposit or make a withdrawal because I made a deposit. That's just, again, leaving you in this cycle of withdrawing, depositing, withdrawing, depositing, ups and downs and ups and downs, rather than the steady increase by just depositing and living off of those dang dividends. So that's just like a conception, something I thought of that I feel like it works as a mental model. And again, I think Grooves is a good place it's a good way to think about Grooves as a way to build those healthy habits that pay off after the first day. We don't care about the initial impact of them. Like maybe the run is really hard in the moment, but then it really pays off over 3 to 4 days. Maybe the dessert tastes really great in the moment, but then it really kicks me back the next 3 to 4 days. We never like take into account that after effect because it's so hard to single it out and actually identify what is that after effect. And so Grooves is the way to actually calculate what are those dividends? What are the things that are being paid off after the initial thing happens, after the initial withdrawal or deposit, what's happening now? And again, I'm thinking that with most withdrawals, you end up with lower dividends. You feel shittier naturally because your normal way of feeling is much lower, or not much lower, but lower, versus with deposits, you feel slightly better. So with enough deposits, you feel much better. With no deposits, you'll feel not so good. I also noticed this with coffee, which I talked about, I think in my Substack this past week. But when I drink coffee, I feel fucking great. It's like euphoric, and like I'm super motivated and excited, usually, if I don't drink it all the time. But then if I don't drink it, I feel like shit. But if I don't drink it for enough time, I go back to normal. And that's like every time I don't drink coffee is kind of like a deposit, or it's at least the absence of a withdrawal. And so when I withdraw every morning by drinking a cup of coffee, I'm taking away from myself the next couple days, because now I need that coffee to get back up, and I need an extra withdrawal. And so then I'm like I have to like build up all these other things that end up with my own psychological ability to withdraw more. And yeah, so that's one of the reasons I'm quitting coffee, is I'm trying to just build up that principle rather than taking away from it every day, because it feels good and it's exciting and fun in the moment, because I know that the effect of it is lingering and it's slowly pulling me down afterward, after the fact, after I get that excitement, that initial. Okay, we are right at about 30 actual timer. I think this usually gets cut down a little bit in the processing, but we'll call it there. Again, if you're in Austin, I'm going to start doing a weekly workout, so stay tuned for that. I'll try and share it here when I do. Trial Grooves, it's the shit. It is, I think, one of the best apps for tracking your habits and understanding what they actually do. It's one of the only ones that helps you understand what your habits do for you. So with that, have a great rest of your week, and thank you for listening. Bye, everybody.